Hello, hello, hello. Are we awake yet? So this is Get Involved America, and I'm Melody Estes. Today I have Mary with me, who is also a concerned citizen.
Absolutely.
Wanting to get involved. So we're going to have a conversation today. We were both quite interested in the ministry of truth. I had the what the heck do we live? Where do we live? And she also had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking right before this about how Orwellian that sounds. I mean, who determines what the truth is?
I know, that was my whose truth? Both quite interested in the ministry of truth. I had the what the heck do we live? Where do we live? And she also had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking right before this about how Orwellian that sounds. I mean, who determines what the truth is?
I know, that was my whose truth, right? And today, as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about a courtroom and how we have lawyers, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure, our government has a lot of lawyers, and they're really good with wording. But if you only have one side, so you only have the defense attorney talking, well, you might think one thing.
For sure.
But then when the other one gets up, you're like, oh, wait a minute, he has some more facts that I didn't see in this picture, right? So my thought process went that way. It's like, so whose truth do we want to believe, or are we supposed to believe? Like now they're saying that they're going to be the ones to decide what truth we believe.
And we already know, because this is not this has been happening for a while. It's a gradual thing that's been happening to us. Now they're saying it out loud, but we already know that the conservatives have been censored and removed on social media platforms, Twitter being a prime example of that. And that's a whole thing with Elon Musk too. We can definitely go into that another time. But yeah, who determines what the truth is? And then where are we going to go with that? Mm-hmm. So once they've decided that what I'm saying is not something that's supposed to be said, then what do we do?
Right.
Like, where does this lead exactly?
Right. Well, I can tell you where it leads.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought, but it's like all the propaganda that the Chinese have to listen to. They only have one side of every story. And it is a little fearful for me to think, what is this ministry of truth supposed to do? And whose truth are we going to believe? And like you said, shutting down conservative voices. I mean, they said they weren't doing that, but as soon as Elon Musk got back in there, then all these people's accounts started showing more people on their platforms. Yeah, coincidence? I think not.
No, they've definitely been shadow banned on Twitter. I mean, people have been saying that. Conservatives, Republicans have been saying that for a few years now. Mm-hmm. So again, this has been a thing that's been happening for a while. But yeah, they've definitely been shadow banned. Otherwise, that would not have happened. And personally, I think Twitter they're kind of burning things a little bit. Because they know that Elon's going to come in. He's already threatened, so to speak, that he's going to say what the algorithms are, put that out there for everyone to see, and all of that information is going to be out there for the public, which it should be. And I think they know that that's coming, and so they're kind of getting rid of things, and boom, lo and behold, all these things are showing up again.
That's what I heard. I heard that they were like behind the scenes trying to get rid of some stuff so that they couldn't get rid of it. And it's hard to say they weren't when so many of the conservative voices I listen to, like, oh, hey, I'm back up. I have more than I thought I had, and all, like you said, the shadow banning, and that is not coincidence.
No.
That is not coincidence at all.
No, and we also, we had a sitting president of the United States of America that was banned off of Twitter.
Man.
That's
unheard of.
Where do you go from there? I mean, I'll tell you where we go. What we're talking about right now, this Ministry of Truth, is they're calling it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was the gal, I don't remember her name right now, but she was the gal that dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop because 54 of them said, no, this is just probably disinformation. And she agreed with that because they all said it was. Well, that raises another question. Like, again, whose truth are we to believe? You can go down through Fauci and all the things that have been silenced through the whole pandemic, from Trump's voice, from conservatives that are saying, hey, let's look at the facts on Pfizer. Let's look, and they're like, oh no, those aren't facts. That's misinformation or disinformation. And it's like, well, that's again only going back to one side.
Right.
I think as Americans, we want more than one side so we can form an opinion on what's really going on.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, they don't want you to think for yourself. I mean, they outright have said that before.
Yes.
That no, you don't need to think. They kind of make it seem like it's, for your benefit, not don't think. They say, you don't need to think. We'll do it for you. And then just, the experts or trust the science. Like if you're talking about Fauci,
oh, yeah.
Trust the science, whatever that means.
You're right. Well, and going back to trusting the science, it's like, well, how did we originally get to these places' insights? You had more than one opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And anybody that had a difference of opinion, you still had to listen to it. Now it's like, nope, they're shutting down every doctor that disagreed with what the opinion was or what the narrative was supposed to be. They shut those down. We know of some doctors that they didn't want to speak up because they didn't want to lose that or their family. They were scared for their families, so they didn't say anything, even though they might be talking to their patients one way. They weren't going to speak out beyond that because of the fear of what they were doing to so many others.
Yeah. Well, that's the purpose of this ministry, right? Is to get you to stop the talk that they don't want you to have. The conversations that they don't want you to have, like we're doing right now.
Exactly. I thought with our little program, I don't know who it's going to touch. I'm hoping it's touching you and getting you involved. But I think, well, what can we say and what can't we say? Because I know some of the people that I listen to, they can only be on this platform because that's the only platform they can say everything. Yeah. Or they only put out so much of the content that they're talking about on a certain platform, but if you want to go to the other platform, so even this, it's like, what happened to freedom of speech? Whether you agree with us or not, it's like, what happened to freedom of speech? We're losing it quickly, and if we don't make a stand right now, then we're never going to be as free as we are in this moment.
No, for sure. I mean, I think we need to be bolder as citizens, as people, and as a community. I do think that part of the problem is that we're fearful, and I understand that completely. I've been in situations too where I'm fearful about saying something or maybe doing something, but that's what gets you in these type of situations. That's what they want. They want you to be fearful so that you don't have those conversations. And I think we need to be more bold about it. I think we do need to speak up. On any platform that will allow you to do it, to your neighbors, to your friends, to the community.
Well, what I'm hoping is that, like my husband says, you poke the bear enough, the bear's going to say enough is enough. And that's what I'm hoping, that Americans that are not just complaining about what's going on, but they're like, enough is enough, and I want to get involved, and I want to make a difference. And that's one of the points to my program, or our program, is that your voice does matter, and you need to make sure that it matters by how you vote. Be responsible and try to research as much as you can, because that's one way we get involved. There's a lot of ways we can get involved, but that is part of the program that I want is for people to say, my voice does matter. You're not the only one out there that feels this, but complaining can only go so far. It's what we do with that is what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's been times in my life where I voted for the presidency, for example, and then I go, oh, I guess maybe my voice or my vote counts, maybe it doesn't. I mean, they didn't exactly do what they said they were going to do, or that I wanted them to do, or that my friends wanted them to do. Mm-hmm. But I've kind of changed on that, especially recently because of the way things are. I'm going to start with my community. I'm going to start first with my family, first with myself, then my family, and then go out from there. So. Mm-hmm. That's where we have the most amount of effect. Yeah. That's where we can really make change. Yeah, that's where the influence is around us locally. Mm-hmm. I may not be able to determine what's going to happen in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. That's okay to a point. But I have to be able to get involved in my community, and we should be getting involved in our community.
Absolutely.
And speaking out more.
Absolutely. That's exactly our thoughts. It's like we have to do that. Otherwise, each thing that we believe in is going to be stripped away a little bit more, a little bit more. How did we get this far? And how has it sped up so quickly in the last couple of years, from churches being shut down, small businesses.
The bars were open, though. The bars were open.
Right. Yep. Well, that's what Dan and I, when they started to shut everything down, we're a small business, and we were like, we can't do that. We had to let our employees go because we didn't know what it was going to look like, but we had our doors open the whole time because that's our livelihood. It was like, so, we had a special thing where, if people came, they could call us on the door and we would let them in and they could have a showing, but we had to do something because that was our livelihood. We're a small business, and that would have put us out like that. And I feel for those places and those companies that they wanted to do the right thing, and they felt like closing their door because of the fear was the right thing to do, because that's what people were telling you. Well, you don't care about other people. Well, of course we do. We gave them their 6 feet. If they wanted to wear a mask, that was fine, but we couldn't live our life in fear, because that's no life at all to live.
Well, and kind of bringing that back to free speech, the First Amendment. That's what they wanted, was for us to not talk about what was going on. Mm-hmm. They wanted to run that narrative, mm-hmm. and they did pretty successfully.
Yeah.
And they still are trying to do that, although I don't think it's working as well as it was before. Thank goodness for that.
Well, yeah. I just keep looking back to the point. I go, wow, they just keep doubling down. It's amazing. Yeah. People are not liking this narrative, but yet they keep doubling down and still trying to put that fear in people to keep your mouth shut, don't do this, don't do that. You're not a nice person if you aren't agreeing with us, right? Whatever the whole construct of the narrative is. Yeah. It's like, no, we can't let our voices go again like we did.
No, we certainly can't. That's what puts you in those situations, mm-hmm. when you just say, okay, you're going to run the narrative, and I may not agree with it, but I'm just going to go along with it. Or maybe I'm not going along with it. Like, I never wore a mask the whole time, just to kind of go back to that. But so I didn't agree with the narrative. But if you're not speaking out against the narrative, you're not really doing anything either.
Right. You're being neutral, because you're like, okay, neutral. I'm just doing what I'm told to do. It's like we had a neighbor tell us, I don't know why people just don't get the vaccine. Just do what your government tells you. And Dan and I kind of looked at each other and just like, we just kept our mouths shut. But we were like, and you believe everything that your government is telling you? All right, well.
Any one person is telling you,
right,
any sort of body is telling you.
Yeah.
You should be able to, even church. Like, you go to church, you're being told something, and then you have the heart and the mind to be able to study those things, pray about those things, and get your own revelation, if you will, as to what, whether that's true that you heard or not. Like,
Absolutely.
We have that ability. We should be using that ability in all things that we do.
Absolutely. That was one of the other things, it's like, well, we know better. I mean, even if you go back to some of the World Economic Forum, we know better than you do type things, we're smarter than you. And it's like, well, most of us can reason. Yeah. And again, you go on what you said earlier about not, lost it. It was something you said earlier. No, I totally lost it.
That's all right.
Lost my train of thought. No, that's all right.
Well, I mean, you brought up the World Economic Forum.
Yep.
So, I mean, they obviously have a narrative. They have a goal in mind. That would probably be a whole other conversation.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
They're going to double down on that till the end, because they do have a goal, an end goal, and they're not going to stop. Like, that's just the way that it is. And, this idea of like, well, I'm an elite, or whatever you want to call them, that I know better than you do. The irony there is when they actually speak about communities and what America really is, they have no clue. They don't live in Idaho.
No.
They don't live, among the people, the middle class, the lower class, any of that. I mean, they're in their own little bubbles. So to me, it's even more ironic that, we know, listen to us, because we know better than you do. We know what's good for you. You don't even know how we live. How do you know what's good for me?
No.
But that just kind of goes to their end goal. It really isn't about that per se.
No. That just made me think of one of my daughter's friends who is very well educated, that said, I want the government to tell me what to do. I don't want to make these decisions. Yeah. And she's a young person. I thought, what? What? We have a free will to make these decisions. We can reason. Yeah. We can think through these things that are being told to us, especially if we have more than one opinion.
Yeah.
Going back to the two lawyers, if you only hear one side, well, you might go with that side. But what's the other side say? Let's make educated decisions and listen to more than just one side of a story. We can get so much further doing that in the conversation.
Yeah, unfortunately, that kind of is a human nature thing. Like people talk all the time and they say, well, people want to be free. Not really. What they want is to be taken care of. That's really what our basis is. And if we were honest with ourselves, we would see that deep inside, that's actually in all of us. We want to be taken care of. So it's easy to say, well, I don't want to have to think or do the research or read or study and things like that. I'm like, I just someone do all that for me and then tell me. Yeah, but the problem with that is you don't know for yourself whether that's true or not.
Right.
And think of the things that you can convince people to do if they're in that realm.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, I don't want to think about that.
Well, all you have to do is look around to
no,
actually
absolutely.
see that. Yeah.
That goes into a whole nother thought process of like them wanting student loans to be paid for.
Yep.
And it's like, well, somebody's going to be paying for that. So
but they don't want to think about that.
No, they don't want to. That just sounds nice.
Yeah, sure. I have to pay my bills.
Exactly. It sounds nice, but that's a whole nother story that maybe we'll come back to another night.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a big subject because people don't realize that money doesn't
grow on trees.
It doesn't, and despite what the government's doing right now, you can't really just print money and expect it to go somewhere. So that money has to come somewhere.
Yeah,
and it's going to come out of my pocket. Someone who didn't go to college to take out that student loan. So.
Yep. Or my parents, who were middle class, those people that are, it's like the people that are paying the most taxes, it's going to come even more
where it comes
taxes,
out. Yeah.
more taxes out of those people,
Yeah.
So, yeah, whole nother conversation.
For sure.
But I wanted to put up a couple of things. I have it. So one of the things that I signed up for was millionvoices.org, and it gives kind of things that you might be interested in, topics that you might be interested in as a conservative. Mine, we were talking about free speech today, and it says, I love what they say here, our founders' commitment to protecting free expression is quickly corroding due to woke censorship, cancel culture, and propaganda, posing serious threats to our enduring freedom. Access to all sides of an issue is essential for discerning truth and making informed decisions regarding the leadership of our nation. To me, that doesn't sound like we're being irrational
No.
as conservatives. I think that sounds pretty sound in our thinking. So there's a lot of things out there right now that are saying, well, they must be this, they must be that, and things like that. So millionvoices.org is one. If you want to pinpoint some of your issues, it might help you out. The other one is the 2,000 Mules, the movie.
Coming right out.
Yeah,
It's already sold out in Meridian, so.
Yeah, my husband and I, we missed the, we didn't
We didn't either.
we
so.
didn't get our tickets because they kept saying it's coming out, and then now it's there and it's sold out. So we kind of dropped the ball there, but we did order the DVD to kind of be a part of that so that we can help finance people that are actually doing the research and doing. So those are things how we're taking a stand right now is on that.
Decisions.
Informed decisions, yes, absolutely.
exactly.
So I don't know if you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
No, just basically like what you said there at the end, that is actually one of the things that you can do to get involved more is if you're not the kind of person that is physically going to go out there and do something, that's okay. You can do things like support the people who are doing those things. There are lots of people out there that are really fighting right now, and that's definitely one thing. You can do that from in your pajamas in your room.
Yep.
To just do something online to support them. So I think that's a really good place to start if you're not that kind of person who would go to rallies or go to these meetings and things like that. Although you should be.
Right? I know. I'm waiting for the next one because I'm like, okay, Dan, we will be going to something. We will be. So anyway, just a reminder, primaries are May 17th. Your voice does matter. So make a vote, an informed vote. Don't just put the next person you think, but really try to research, talk to people about those candidates. Because again, candidates can say one thing because a lot of them are lawyers and they know how to word it right, and then do another. So if there's anything you can research on how they're voting, do that. If it's somebody new, try to find people that maybe know or go to some of these town halls or read up. There's tons of information on the websites in your state. And you just start, and you'll find these places. Just start is the best thing you can do. And so, thank you, Mary. I look forward to talking again.
You're welcome. This has been great. I love this. So
All right.
I'm looking forward to this as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Get involved, America.